بداية دعني أرحب بكم جميعا في ورشة العمل 194 الخاصة ببيئة حوكمة الإنترنت في الوطن العربي. وبداية دعوني أعبر عن شكري وتقديري للمملكة العربية السعودية وهيئة الحكومة الرقمية على استضافتهم الكريمة لنا جميعا، وعلى هذا التنظيم الرائع واحتضانهم لنا بمنتدى حوكمة الإنترنت، متمنيا للمملكة العربية السعودية وهيئة الحكومة الرقمية وجميع القائمين عليها من الزملاء والأخوة النجاح والمزيد من النجاح، وبإذن الله تستمر المملكة في محيط حوكمة الإنترنت كقوة فاعلة تمثلنا في الوطن العربي. وأهنئ المملكة العربية السعودية على هذا النجاح الكبير والباهر الذي حققوه في هذه الاستضافة وتجميعنا من ناحية المحتوى والتنظيم أو التنوع في المشاركة، فكل الشكر لكم جميعا ونعبر عن اعتزازنا وتقديرنا بهذا الشأن. And now allow me to switch in English for our bilingual audience. First, I would like to welcome you all in our workshop 194, which is regarding the internet governance landscape in the Arab world. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the government of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the wonderful team of the digital government organization in Saudi Arabia for their generosity and for their well plan and hosting us for the 19th Internet Governance Forum. Wishing them all the best and all the success, and hopefully we will see the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia continuing in its engagement in the internet governance scene, whether on the Arab region or globally and regionally. First, let us shed the light on the topics that the workshop will address. We'll be addressing the landscape in terms of the policy dialogue and development, the multi-stakeholder participation and engagement, what has been accomplished so far, the priorities and top issues of the region according to each stakeholder group. And before I will continue, let me introduce myself, which unfortunately I didn't do. With you, Qusay Al-Shatti, an activist, that's how I will define myself, in the internet governance scene in the Arab world and the region and internationally. And I take the pleasure to introduce my colleague, Shafiq Shaya, who is from RIPE NCC in the region and my co-organizer of the workshop. I would like also to introduce our panelists who's with us, Osama Al-Uraini from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Ayman Al-Shirbini from the UN ESCOWA, Charles Sha'ban from Jordan, Ahmed Faraj from Egypt, Ahmed government, Charles civil society and private sector, Ayman Al-Shirbini is intergovernmental organization, the UN ESCOWA, and Osama Al-Uraini from the Saudi Internet Society, the Internet Society in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's how I will state it. Just to provide you with a simple background before we enter the workshop. The workshop, by the way, you are the panelists as the audience more than the panelists that we have here. It will be an interactive workshop where we will allow the panelists to give some intervention, and then we will allow it more to the discussion of all to make it more interactive. Internet governance was initiated as an idea from the Geneva Declaration of Principle, where it said international internet governance issues should be addressed in a coordinated manner. I'm taking a cap from the Geneva Declaration of Principle. In phase 2, which held in Tunisia, it defined in paragraph 34 what is internet governance, and it says that a working definition of internet governance is the development and application by governments, the private sector, and civil society in their respective roles of shared principles, norms, rules, decision-making procedures, and the programs that shape the evolution and use of the internet. In that regard, there were two tracks. One was what is called the Enhanced Cooperation track, enable governments on equal footing to carry out their roles and responsibilities in international public policy issues pertaining to the internet, but not in the day-to-day technical and operational matters. And the second track, which is where we are today, the Internet Governance Forum, open and inclusive process in a multi-stakeholder format. Moving forward, it defined the stakeholders of the internet governance: governments, private sector, civil society, technical community, academics, intergovernmental organizations, and user at large. And it outlined what is the out of scope or the role of the IGF. I will not tell them, but I'll just point out to the keywords: public policy, discourse, facilitating discourse between bodies and different international public policies, exchange of information, best practices, accelerate and availability of affordability of the internet, enhance the engagement of stakeholders, identifying emerging issues, IG capacity building, solution to issues, use and misuse of the internet, interface of IG and related organizations. So from there, this is just a background. Now, on the landscape today, in the Arab world, on the intergovernmental levels, we have organizations like the ITU, which has an office in the Arab region, the UN SQA, the League of Arab States. If we look at the technical community, who is all involved in the Arab world, we have the ICANN, the RIPE NCC, Africanic, the Internet Society, the public sector in terms of the mobile operators and all. We always see them actively engaged in the internet governance related scenes. And of course, civil society, from our participation in the Arab internet governance, we have realized and recognized how, let's say, the civil society in the Arab world is active. Moving from here, we have many examples of national IGFs in the Arab world. We have the IGF of Tunisia. We have the IGF in Sudan. We have the IGF in Lebanon. And there is an IGF coming, but I will leave it to the statement of the respective person. Regional IGFs. We have the Arab IGF, and we have the North Africa IGF, actually. And in the technical community, we have many events that is organized by the technical community, like the Middle East DNS Forum, the Middle East School of Internet Governance, the MINUG, which is the Middle East Network Operator Group. And on the governmental level, the ITU has an office dedicated for the Arab region, the UN SQA, and the League of Arab States, which also the umbrella organization for events such as the Arab IGF and the Digital Cooperation Agenda. From here, I'll pass the floor to my dear colleague, a co-organizer, Dr. Shafiq Shaya, to address the other parts.
Thank you, Qusay. And good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Thank you, Qusay. First, it's a pleasure and honor to be with you here today. And thank you for all of you to take the time to join our webinar. I think Qusay forgot that we have online colleagues that will join us.
Did they come online?
I don't know, we'll check now.
Sure.
Because I had an interesting question about gender equality. I said, yes, of course, we have two dear colleagues, Zainab Harb and Christina Arida, who should be with us today. Unfortunately, they couldn't attend, so we are waiting them to join online. So Well, this is a first observation. And the second one is that today it's really an achievement for all of us to have IGF in Saudi. We worked with all the stakeholders and we put all our efforts to celebrate this moment. So thank you, Dr. Ibrahim, Dr. Walid, for your efforts and for the Saudi Arabia for hosting this IGF today in Riyadh. Qusay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you. So just I will not take a lot of time. I will take 2-3 minutes to reflect on a webinar that we did co-organized between Lebanon IGF, Arab IGF, and North Africa IGF on 10 December. It was an excellent discussion where we defined 3 pillars to just start our discussions. And these pillars are, let's see if it works. Yep. So the 4 pillars that we defined during our discussions were harmonization of IG, capacity development, parliamentary track, and collaboration. So I will go through very quickly just to refresh your mind, and this will be like a point to be discussed or for discussion later on. So for harmonization of the IG efforts, we defined that there should be more strong multi-stakeholder internet governance across the region. We need to have more enhanced collaboration based on trust. We need to have strength IG initiatives and more engagement, especially from private and governments. We need to discuss alignment with WSIS Plus 20, and this is a long debate and a long discussion. I hope that we'll have time to go through.
شخصية رائعة بالديجيتال كوبريشن والإنترنت.
Capacity building. As Qusay mentioned, this region is really, how can I say, we can be differentiated from other regions with the efforts that is done by the technical community. With our colleagues, ICANN, ISOC, and RIPE NCC, we did a lot of things, and we achieved a lot of things. And I'm really happy that this collaboration between the technical community and all the different groups paid off. There was something like we need to check, or we need to know, or we need to investigate the economic impact of IG. And this, I believe, the academic stakeholder group can help us in this. And for the Arab youth, of course, we need to have new blood, new generation, and someone to chain and to take these discussions for the future. And this is the role of the Arab youth. Okay, I don't have the slide, but the third pillar was the parliamentary track. We know that now there is a lot of discussion and a lot of focus to have the parliamentarian involved in the IG discussions. But there is an issue, there's a gap, not an issue, that these parliamentarian and registrations need to have the technical background in order to put the right policies that will not affect the internet and they will not affect other industries that use the internet. And the fourth pillar was the collaboration. And this is really important. We need to collaborate. We need to collaborate with one principle, trust. If we don't trust each other, the collaboration means nothing. So we need to collaborate more, each in his and her expertise. Once again, it's a multi-stakeholder internet governance processes with 5 multi-stakeholder groups that's recognized by the UN, but each of these groups has its own expertise and we need to collaborate each one in its expertise. So I will stop here. I will leave the floor to Qusay once again and we'll give the floor after setting the scene with the speakers. We will have an open discussion with the audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shafiq. First, let me welcome Christine Arida, who is joining us online. And she's a panelist with us, and she's also from the TRA Egypt. So we would like to first welcome Christine joining us through Zoom. Allow me first to talk to the panelists and allow them to do their intervention before we start our interactive session. My first question will be to Dr. Walid Al-Uraini, and I would like to ask him the question from someone who looks at the Arab IGF landscape from, let's say, the outer box. What trends are pivotal in advancing internet governance in the Arab region, and how can collaboration between local stakeholders can be strengthened?
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you to Saudi Arabia. It means a lot to us, and we hope that everybody of you is enjoying the whole week attending the workshops. Going back to the questions, to the question in hand, I think everyone is talking about AI era right now, and how AI is really transforming everything what we do. A part of it is the governance, how we govern the impact of AI on internet as a whole, and into the usage of the internet itself. We would like to maintain the trust, encourage the trust of the usage of the internet itself. So having a clear governance framework that really embrace the trust among all of us in this domain, I think this will have a huge impact. This is in one hand. In other hand, I think there are some minority groups that they are not engaging well in shaping how internet should work. And this minority, we should encourage them to engage more, especially the end user itself. So having to listen to their issues, how we bridge their issues all the way to the decision makers, I think this is a key part. Yeah, and thank you very much.
We are looking for an announcement.
Yeah, we talked about it. And we are so happy that in Saudi, Alhamdulillah, we just launched IGF chapter in Saudi last month. We did the first workshop 2 weeks back. This pertain a kick-off of this chapter, and we are looking in our community locally here in Saudi. And within the plan itself, we are bridging the IGF community within Saudi across the globe cooperation. So thank you very much for reminding me.
Thank you, Dr. Walid. Thank you. I would like to shift to my dear colleague Christine Arida, who is joining us through Zoom, and I would like to address to her the question on how do you see the role of governments in shaping internet governance policies in the Arab region?
Thank you, Qusay. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
I just need to make sure that she's
Yes, Christine.
Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for organizing and hosting this IGF. And it's a pity that I cannot be in Riyadh with you all, but it's a great opportunity to be speaking through this online platform. And I would like to thank you, Qusay, and my dear colleague Shafiq for organizing this important session. I believe the Arab region has a very has a great cooperation among Arab governments in many areas. If you look at collaboration within Arab governments within the ITU, you see a lot of activities. I remember at the time of the WSIS, when it was in Tunisia, there was so much collaboration. And in the League of Arab States, there is so much of that as well. Governments do play a role in cross-border collaboration for internet policies and for telecom policies among governments. Having said that, it has been a challenge for the multi-stakeholder platforms such as the Arab IGF and others to include governments more actively into the multi-stakeholder dialogue. And I was happy to listen to Shafiq mention our dialogue that we had just last week about that, and how it is important for the discussion to broaden within government collaboration. And in that respect, I think we are facing a new era, especially with Saudi Arabia also hosting the IGF, so the IGF coming back to the Arab region. I think there is a great opportunity for Arab governments to open up to dialogue with other stakeholders within their classical intergovernmental processes, so specifically within the Arab League, to shape the future of policies related to digital or digital governance as we approach the WSIS Plus 20, and also to talk about the future of the IGF in that perspective. So I think governments do play a role, and I think there is a need for enhancing and empowering the role and the dialogue that governments have by injecting further multi-stakeholder processes into that. And I see here that national and regional IGFs that are in the Arab region, you mentioned Tunisia, Lebanon, now we hear about Saudi Arabia, but also the Arab IGF, the North African IGF, they can play a great role to bring those processes and paths together. I hope this helps. Thank you, Qusay.
Thank you, dear Christine, for your intervention and very interesting points. I'll shift to my dear colleague Ayman Shirbini from the UN ESCWA, and I would like to address him the question on how can intergovernmental organizations such as the UN ESCWA facilitate more substantial synergies among and between the Arab countries and the global internet governance ecosystem, including if you can shed the light on the digital cooperation, the Pan-Arab digital cooperation. No.
Hello, thank you. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, my dear colleague.
No, we're not hearing you clearly. Do you? Got you.
Thank you very much, dear Qusay, and dear Shafiq for organizing and co-organizing this session. And we see very dear faces and partners that we haven't met for some time. And that is not by coincidence. Actually, we in UN Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia have collaborated with our dear colleagues in the Saudi government, the Digital Government Authority and others more than a year ago during the hosting arrangements and preparations for this very dear and very honorable event that we do in the region for the second time in the last 15 years. I recall Sharm el-Sheikh in 2009, and here we are in Riyadh. And we are proud to be here in the right time, in the right place, like 10 months or less from the WSIS Plus 20 review. So what is the role of the United Nations in the internet governance arena and in the region? First of all, as you all know, the WSIS itself, which gives spin-off the global IGF, was a platform under the auspices of the United Nations Secretary General and General Assembly during 2003-2005. The inception, as you defined, of the definition of the Internet governance was part of the Working Group on Internet Governance during 2003-2005, which gave birth in Tunis agenda to the IGF. It also gave birth to other processes like enhanced cooperation and others. During this period, in the beginning, few IGFs spun off in different parts of the world. So in 2009 in Sharm el-Sheikh, we in ESCWA came up with the idea of having an Arab Internet Governance Forum similar to other regions. And we took a couple of years for internal consultation with the League of Arab States. Thank you. From 2009 Sharm el-Sheikh till 2011, we got all the arrangements in partnership between us and the League of Arab States and member countries, and I here commend the role of the Egyptian government, National Telecom Regulatory Authority, in a very important event which Qusay shared and Shafiq and many others, Christine also, called Haptour event, January 2012. We put the first building block for the Arab Internet Governance Forum, which is under the auspices of the ESCWA and LAS, and has its MAG also like the global model, as well as hosting changes from one place to the other. I also recall the role of Kuwait as the first host of the Arab Internet Governance Forum and the role played by KITS and Qusay at that time. So we did a model that mimics the global model, and this is what the UN brought. We created the Arab IGF, created the model, built the partnership and championships, and we hosted 6 annual Arab Internet Governance Forums since then. And it's a good chance to ask my colleague Rita to distribute some information about the Arab IGF 7 that will take place in Amman in February 2025, which is like 6-8 weeks from now. We would like that all of you here today in the session by Arab IGF in the global IGF to do 2 things. First of all, to mark your calendar for the Arab IGF 7 in Amman, in the region, and spend a week over there, not only for the Arab IGF, but for the Arab WISIS, which is the Arab Forum for the WISIS and 2030 Agenda. Furthermore, for the first conference on the Arab Digital Agenda that we, with all member states, have developed in the region, for the region, adopted by heads of states, which has 35 goals for digital development in the region until 2033. So we'll have 3 different communities coming together in the same week. You will have the brochure now from Rita on the DCDF, and we'd like that you register. But what is the second thing we want from you? We want you to be here tomorrow, but 2 rooms towards room workshop 11. But at 10:30, if I'm not mistaken, we'll double check the date now. And tomorrow we'll mention what Shafiq alluded to. We will make a consultation on the WISIS Plus 20 review the next 10 months. We will also connect this to the Internet governance process, as well as to the GDC Global Digital Compact process. It's a round of consultation that we are doing tomorrow for 90 minutes. And your presence tomorrow is no less important than your presence today. So please be there. We will touch more deep dive into the GDC, its relationship with Arab Digital Agenda, Arab IGF, IGF, and the Saudi IGF. And I'm proud that we have, as Shafiq mentioned, had the North African IGF, and we have here Charles also. He is head of the MAG of the Arab IGF. And now we have a colleague partner from the Saudi IGF. And we have the Lebanese IGF. So tomorrow it will be very important that we come together to shape also our strengths and presence, not only for Amman IGF 7, but hopefully we are going to do an announcement also related to the next edition of the Arab IGF 8, very soon, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Ayman. I would like also to welcome our second online panelist, dear Zaina Abu Harb from Ojero, Lebanon, and she is with us online.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Zaina. And I would like to direct you the question, what policies recommendations would you suggest in the Arab region to ensure a more robust and sustainable internet governance framework? I'll pass the floor to you.
Thank you, Kusai. First, let me thank also join my colleagues in thanking the government of Saudi Arabia for hosting this important event, and thank you and Shafiq for organizing this workshop. If I want to answer your question about recommendation, it's to ensure a more robust and sustainable internet governance framework in the Arab region. The governments maybe should first address technical, regulatory, and social challenges. And the picture differs from country to country, because there is also this difference in technological advancement between the Arab countries. So first, I would say my recommendation would be to enhance connectivity and to invest in the development of reliable digital infrastructure, because sustainable internet governance requires strong and accessible digital infrastructure before everything else, to enable equitable participation across the region. My second recommendation would be regarding cybersecurity and data protection. Also, a more secure and trusted internet is fundamental for internet governance. There is a need to develop comprehensive cybersecurity laws and data protection frameworks that are aligned with international best practices, while at the same time accounting for local needs and local contexts. And one very important recommendation would be to promote the multi-stakeholder government approach, where all the relevant stakeholders, governments, business, civil society, technical community, and academia, they all can play an active role in policy making by establishing national frameworks for dialogue between stakeholders, such as the national IGF and regional IGF, and also by encouraging participation in the global internet governance institutions like ICANN and the IGF. So if you want, we can list a lot of recommendations, but there is also a need for digital literacy programs within the Arab countries to integrate this literacy into educational curricula. And also there is something very important which is to foster the regional cooperation. I think Mr. Ayman already tackled this issue, and he will go deeper into this topic. So this would be my recommendation. Thank you, Kusai.
Thank you, Zaina, for your valuable input. I will shift the floor to my dear colleague Charles, and actually I will ask you a compounded question, because you represent a civil society organization, but your membership base is also private sector. So my question will be in that compounded form. What role, when we see the internet governance landscape, civil society is the most stakeholder that participate, private sector is from the least. So how, in that context, what role does the civil society play and the private sector would play in advancing internet governance in the Arab region, and how can this role be further enhanced?
Thank you very much, my dear Qusay. and thank you for the invite. Thanks for the Saudi government for having this wonderful event here. In fact, as you mentioned, good to mention that because now I represent the International Trademark Association, which is officially a non-profit organization, but more than 95% of our members are private sector. So this is, my history with the Arab IGF, I was in a private sector before even joining INTA. So to answer your question, Qusay, I think the best way, the role, I don't think I will talk a lot about it because everybody knows the important role of the multi-stakeholders and what you and Shafiq specific was talking about all the time. So we need the opinion and the views of these two important sectors in everything we do here, of course, and in the Arab IGF and the local IGFs. But maybe how to enhance it better, I can maybe think about it. I think we need more sustainable financial especially for the civil society to be able to continue participation. I know that many organizations usually doesn't have the budgets to attend such forums and participate actively. Even with the online now, it's easier, but still, you know, sometimes the in-person presence helps a lot in this. Going to the private sector, I think we need to show them more the importance of being part of the policy making, let's say, call it. Because I know this is mainly a non-binding forum. At the same time, it's important not to wait to see what the others want. We need to know the private sector, which is mainly the runners of the big economy around the world. We heard in the morning Minister Sawaha excellently put it in a wonderful presentation that we are talking about 20.6 trillion economy. So we know that the drivers are mainly the private sector. We need them from the beginning to know exactly what they expect from the internet, how to be part of it, as we talked. So I think this especially in our region, needs to be more clearer for the private sector, because this is exactly what we faced in the Arab IGF. Wearing my Arab IGF have, I mentioned, we always had lack of private sector. So this is exactly, we need to tell them not only to concentrate on your work. You need to work, of course, but at the same time, be part of this, because this will affect your work in the future. So how to pass this, I'm not sure. So my recommendation will be awareness, I think, more of the importance of this for all the stakeholders, especially the private sector. Thank you. And if you allow me, Qusay, you know that I have a conflicting meeting, so I
Thank you.
only 3 minutes. And if you allow me to leave slightly so I don't disturb anyone, I'll see you tomorrow in the other workshop if anyone looking for. But
thank you, Charles, for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I will pass the floor to my dear colleague Ahmed from the NTRA Egypt, and I will ask him a question. What are, in your view, the top priorities for the Arab region in internet governance? And how can government align these priorities with the global internet governance agenda?
Thank you, Qusay. Thank you, Shafiq, for organizing this fruitful workshop, and thank you for the KSA for hosting the Global IGF and give us the opportunity to be here this year. In my view about the priorities in our region, I think there is a common need in our region called engagement. Okay, I think we should support the multi-stakeholder engagement.
We hear you.
In all our process in the Arab region. Arab region, actually, at the past years, we have many initiatives, actually, as you mentioned in your presentation. Okay, we have now national IGFs, we have regional IGFs, and we have youth IGFs, by the way, in Mauritania. I think creating kind of a networking between all these initiatives in our region is something will help us to focus on our challenges in the region. Okay, I got this idea actually after our webinar organized 1 week ago, and it was co-hosting between the Arab IGF, North African IGF, and the Beninese IGF. Actually, it was remarkable webinar, gave me this idea about the network who who compile the initiative in our region, okay? And through this networking, we can share our thoughts if you are talking about how to effectively enforce our voices in the global tracks. Okay, I think this might be helping our priorities. Referring to the priorities, okay, I think how to make youth engagements and capacity buildings, this is one of my priority. Okay, I see a lot of youth, they have the knowledge, they have the capability, okay, and I think we need to present a capacity buildings for them to be engaged and to be leaderships in the near future. This is one of my priority, I think, in our region. I think, of course, the digital divide between inside different countries, between the same countries, between men and women, all this comes as a priority in our region, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you. And now we will come to the interactive part with the audience. I would like to ask a question. Please, there is a question. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Nana Wachuku. I'm an advisory board member for Digital Democracy Initiative. It's a program that focuses on supporting initiatives that help provide digital access, particularly in the global south. My question, there's a lot of conversation around multi-stakeholder engagement. And there's also the conversation about funding for civil society in participating in these multi-stakeholder platforms. But I'm also curious because there's also the part about the government not being a very active participant in these multi-stakeholder engagement platforms. And I was wondering, beyond funding, are there other reasons that prevent civil society organizations from participating? And for the government, how democratized are these engagements? Is there also a reason that keeps the government away from engaging actively with the different stakeholders in these platforms? That's one. Then my second question is, what are the top 2 priorities for civil society in this region? Specifically, civil society. What are the top 2 priorities for civil society in this region? Sorry, I just want to get the questions out. And then the last one is, considering we've had conversations around private sector, how involved or how open is the policy making process enough to invite private sector for them to understand that we can be willing participants in the process? How involved are they in some of these policies that are made in the region? Thank you.
Let me start from your last question, because this is what Dr. Walid refers to as the minority groups when he addresses intervention. So for the we'll start from the third question for your kind interpretation. Please.
Yeah, if I recall it correctly. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. First of all, what does it take to engage more social society here in Saudi? I'm talking specific. I think more awareness will bring more focus to internet community as a whole, especially educating the society about internet ecosystem as a whole, and the end user benefit out of engaging with us. So we will engage their voice, take their voice all the way to the decision makers. And this is where we act as a society internally to shape up the internet ecosystem as a whole. So they will be part of developing the whole ecosystem. So I think education is a focal point where we need, and we are doing it already. So we are doing a lot of workshops, seminars, online and face-to-face workshops in Saudis. And we are getting momentum every month. We are seeing growth. We are seeing reactions. We launched several initiatives where we educate the end user about what we could do to them, especially hearing their needs, requirements, stuff like that. This is in one front. I think the second question was about
involvement in policy making, how to ensure that others can be involved in the development of policy making.
Absolutely, and this is the one of the major things that we are doing right now is part of the education. We are telling end user in order to be part of the effective development of internet ecosystem, you have to be part of us. We have to hear your voice. You have to engage with us in seminar, workshop, discussion groups, stuff like that. And this is where we take their opinion very actively and passing their needs to the decision maker from policy, on the policy making or on the regulator side. And this is on internet, on cybersecurity, on other domains, not only internet usage.
Thank you, Dr. Walid. If Christine with us online, kindly if you can reply to the first question, what stops the civil society other than funding from participating? If you see another reason other than the issue of funding. So dear Christine with us and can reply to this.
Thank you, Qusay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I think for civil society, likewise for all the other stakeholders, participating in a venue and engaging is all related to how much is at stake and how influential they can be to shaping the discussion, to participating, to really achieving something from that participation. So, of course, funding is a very important topic for civil society, but also if I talk about the region, and I think this would apply to private sector and to civil society in the region, there's a lot related to the maturity of how they can be influential in policy making or in policy shaping in the region. And if I take an example from the private sector, if you look at the global north, you would always find in private sector companies a public policy division, whereas if you come to our region, this is sometimes the least of their worries, and it's only starting and picking up. Similarly with civil society from the region. So bottom line, it is related to how much they can influence what is happening and how can they shape policies around what is at stake for them.
Thank you, Christine.
Back to you.
And let me pass the floor also to our dear colleague Ayman. Overall, the second question is how to integrate all stakeholders in the policy development process. From being the UN ESCWA, an umbrella organization not only for intergovernmental but within the Arab IGF, you dealt with the multi-stakeholder. How do you see that engagement can take place? Or where we are from there, let's say in the Arab world?
How can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is very important point. I think the two worlds of intergovernmentalism and multi-stakeholderism, they can live together very smoothly. They are two sides of a coin. No side can our model work without the other. So what is the complementarity here? The complementarity, it is the dialogue in the multi-stakeholder arenas and gatherings such as forums or conferences and so on would shape the ideas, would shape the positions, messages that should be taken further to the policy making. So it is policy support or policy shaping. Policy making naturally happens in the government circles in most of the issues, not all of the issues. So here comes the role of governments, and the way we put them together, multi-stakeholders with equal footing and everything, is in the forums. While we go to the League of Arab States or UN closed meetings, General Assembly or whatever, we get all these messages and we take the decisions and resolutions and go further to adopt what is in the interest of the global public. It's a global public good in the globe or in the region. It's a public good. So it's a public policy making that has inputs from the citizens, civil society, business, and so on. The weakness here in the region is mainly in the civil society, as Christine said, alignment with what is happening, and also business sector. They see that most of the decisions pertaining to a global good is made elsewhere, outside of the region. But the reality is, through this regional forums, we contribute to the global public policy making. And the global public policy making will also impact the governmental bodies in the region. So it's a continued loop. The last thing which I want to bring to this very important question is a forum with dialogue only, without connecting tendrils or without tangent points, contact points with a decision making, will not also help. As I said, there are two sides of the coin. So what is needed here also is an agenda for the region that everyone agrees to. So there are objectives, a compass for everyone to try to achieve certain targets. And this is in Europe. This is now in the global thing, in the Global Digital Compact, in European Digital Agenda. So we have an Arab Digital Agenda with the same characteristics. And this has goals, targets agreed upon by everyone. Multi-stakeholder engagement in the Arab Digital Agenda is a must, as well as in this kind of dialogue forums. So this complementarity between having a goal or a compass, having two places for policy shaping and policy making, three of them work together very smoothly, and this is what we have in the region. And we guarantee the commitment of heads of member states into what the citizen and the youth aspires to. The last message I will say more about it tomorrow in the discussion of Global Digital Compact. In the Summit of the Future, we have 5 different facets. Some of them are related to political dimensions at the global level of the General Assembly even. Some related to the finance, some related to the digital and the youth. So we are at the center of the Summit of the Future. This digital platforms is really the place where we not only shaping the digital future, but the real future of the planet, the policy, the political paradigm, and the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayman. I will pass the floor to the lady in the back, please, if you can introduce, and then to Nirmi.
Thank you all very much for the enriching discussion. I would like to ask, first I'm Maisa Amer, PhD researcher at Freie Universität Berlin, Germany. I would like to ask all the panelists, how do you see the regulatory framework to tackle disinformation in the Arab world? For example, if there's disinformation and misinformation disseminating on the digital platform, what's the primary approach the states take in this point? Do you communicate with the platform directly to, I don't know, negotiate or something to see how to look forward, how to tackle this phenomena? Or do you intervene directly? So I'm just curious to know what is the regulatory framework to tackle disinformation and misinformation. Thank you.
I would let Ahmed first maybe to address the...
Thank you so much. I think all Arab regions have a legal framework.
We hear you. We hear you.
Okay. We have frameworks. I think all regulatory authorities are working on developing this framework every 3-4 years, following up any updates, as you mentioned, about misinformation and disinformation. I think also there is communicating channels between the governments and the platforms and the private sectors within the region or within the country. However, many of the platforms are outside the country. Maybe the framework or the legal framework will not be applying on these platforms. However, the channels are still running and communicated all over and update.
Thank you. Any further elaboration from the panelists?
Thank you very much for the question. It's really very important. And if I may add, it's getting more complicated if you add AI as well. So the misinformation in AI is going to be massive. And I would urge you to read about the global initiative about how AI initiative has been frameworked to make sure that this kind of misinformation is tackled. The framework talked about what should the action look like, and it is evolving. And everybody would like to make sure internet is a safer place, a trusted place, and without a global cooperation, I don't think we'll reach it to that point. So thank you very much. I think it's a global phenomena, and it's been tackled, I hope, very efficiently nowadays.
Amen.
Thank you so much. Adding to your intervention, the AI is going to create a lot of, not only of misinformation is disinformation, but it will propagate the disguise of the truth in general. So that is a really very complicated issue. The plenary session before us here discussed the ideas related to the truthfulness and ethical matters, and also the explainability, as well as the discoverability of the algorithms and this kind of things. What we are doing in the international organizations in the region, we have developed a strategy for AI in the region, a vision for it, and we connected this to the Arab Digital Agenda, and we are currently putting metrics for measurement, the baseline now of readiness, of maturity, of adoption of AI, and we're trying to put targets for the regions to combat this phenomena in collaboration with pertinent UN bodies, which is the UNESCO. So we are working on that. It's like an uphill battle. It's like the virus and antivirus. The more you create antiviruses, the more there are people who are trying to disguise. So with AI, it's difficult, but when the AI is under the jurisdiction of the humans, it's still manageable. So the governance is by humans of the AI, and we will not really be afraid to combat these kind of threats. And we think that it will continue like that. There is an upper hand for the human intelligence that will control such kind of malicious behaviors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. I'll pass the floor to dear Nermeen Saadani from ISOC.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much for giving me the chance to contribute to this valuable discussion. My name is Nermeen Saadani. I'm the Regional Vice President at the International Society for the Arab Region. I have actually 2 points, one question for the distinguished panelists, and as well an intervention to feedback our colleague here from Berlin on her question on the regulatory framework, and to complement what the distinguished panelists said. So first, my question to the panelists, and this is, I think, an opportunity.
Can't we start with the intervention so we can remember the question better?
Okay. So on the intervention and your question about the regulatory framework that could be there to prevent the communities and the societies from the fraud information that could be present on the platform, the International Society has conducted a very, very useful research this year, and will complete this research in the coming year, inshallah, on intermediary liability. And this is a legal framework that many of the developed regions and the countries has been working on, and I think it will be very, very useful for our region as well as Arabs to look at intermediary liability from that perspective, on how to strike the balance between protecting the platforms and as well protect the people and the users of the internet from any fraud or any misinformation that could be prevailing on those platforms. Striking a balance is something that is very useful in general, and this framework from a legal perspective is very useful. The document and the research will be announced on our platform, inshallah, in the second quarter of 2025. And we have conducted the research on 6 countries, including Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, Oman, and Bahrain. So that would be very useful, and I think it will give a context of whatever they have been mentioning and your concern or your question. So I would refer this to you, and maybe it will be announced on our website shortly, inshallah. On my question, and this is a huge opportunity because all the pioneers from the Arab region who has been building the internet governance in our region are here. So I would like to pose a question very direct about the future of the Internet Governance Forum itself, coming up very soon, the review and the WSIS plus 20. I would like to see or to understand, how do you see this process, and how can we encourage the Arab governments to get engaged more and more in the Internet Governance Forum? We still see lack of governments present, and definitely not all the stakeholder groups are there. So how do you see this, and how do you look at the review process for the forum? Thank you so much.
I'll pass the floor to the panelists.
Thank you so much for the dear panelists who gave me the first intervention. But of course, it is not the only intervention. But I know the question of Nermeen, and tomorrow we'll give more details. But now, in general, I see the future, and this is not political talking. I see the future of the Arab IGF bright. I see it revived. I see it re-strengthened. It's another wave. Remember the IGF 9? 1 or 2 years afterwards, 2009, IGF 4 in 2009. We strengthened our presence through this Arab IGF. With this booster in the IGF 19 in 2014, we have an agreements already and discussions with the Saudi government, and we have discussed with the Emirati government, we have discussed with people in TRA. We want to strengthen and create the Arab IGF 2.0, much more stronger, much more vital, with goals and targets like the evolution we saw in the global IGF. IGF lived very long period bottom up only, until at a certain point in time they created the so-called leadership panel, for example. And now they connected more with the CSTD, connected more with the General Assembly. So connecting more with intergovernmentalism. Now we are already connected, so we don't have a problem. But as I said, we have weakness in the business sectors. They don't see a benefit. We have weakness in the civil society too. They are not enough aligned. So together we are reviving a new wave, inshallah. And the last 10 months are vital. What you asked about the WSIS plus 20. And let me really give a word of command to Nermeen herself. She was working when she was in her previous work in the IGF and WSIS plus 10 process. She knows how important it is. At that time, the global IGF plus 10 in 2015 led to connection between IGF and 2030 agenda. In General Assembly 70/125 resolution, there was such a connected with the WSIS and the 2030 agenda. Never has it been before. So I see that after 10 months from today, there is going to be a strong connection between the IGF process, the WSIS process, and they will prevail hopefully for another 10 years or more. And maybe the least would be until 2030, but I see it at least 10 to 15 years. And while so doing, they have a GDC. They have never had a global digital compact before, so it will be strengthened. Also in the region, we have an Arab digital agenda. So I see the future is really bright in the region, globally, and at the national level too. We started by Arab IGF, and then Tunisian IGF, then Lebanese IGF, and now we see the Saudi, we see the North African. So things are maturing, and inshallah the citizens themselves will play a bigger role, and the next generation, together with ISOC and with other member countries. Thank you.
Please, Dr.
If I may add as well, thank you very much, Ayman. The good thing about IGF itself, it is a platform for discussion, to be honest, and people come here with open-minded, kind of open topics. And the more we have this kind of a platform to discuss the idea, especially at this stage where a lot of factors in place, We are talking about ICANN and the initiative of new GTLD's rounds and talks about it, things about what we discuss on AI and how it's impact global usage of the internet. And there are a lot of topics that it is really emerging. So this kind of a platform, I think the more we have, like IGF, where we discuss ideas, we meet with experts, decision makers. I think our thoughts will bring it together more and more. And everybody who worked a long time in internet, we understand that it is a multi-stakeholder approach. Internet without having a collaboration and a connectivity everywhere, it is not internet per se. So thank you very much for raising this question.
An intervention from Ahmed.
Thank you, Dr. Nermeen. Just I'm not gonna add anything new, but maybe I will summarize with two words: trust between stakeholders is a mandatory, okay, and to avoiding being here, avoiding participation, avoiding engagement. Let's talk. We are different stakeholders. We have different mindsets. We have different perspectives. We have different priorities. It's normal to be not in the same line, but let's keep dialogue. Let's keep being here, engagement and discussing and showing our perspectives. Thank you.
Shafiq.
Thank you, Ahmed. I will reflect on Nermeen's question. It's a very critical question, and I cannot agree more with all my colleagues and friends. But I will take this opportunity for a call to the Arab community, for a call for the all Arab stakeholders to commit and to go and fill and all the open consultations that make the Arab IGF sustainable for the next 5, 10, 15 years. As Dr. Walid said, it's the only venue for inclusivity, for bottom up, for the multi-stakeholder to voice their concerns. So during all these open consultations, as technical community, as RIPE NCC, we recognized and we committed to a multi-stakeholder environment that the IGF is fostering. And this is why my call is for all the Arab stakeholders to go online, fill the open consultations, and make your voice heard that the IGF should be sustainable, should be there to discuss all the concerns and all the challenges that every one of us is facing. Thank you, Qusay.
Then let me take the privilege as a moderator to give the floor to our dear colleague Tijani bin Jum'a, who witnessed the WSIS process on internet governance since the start, and he was a member of the Civil Society Bureau at the WSIS time. And now we have the privilege that he's with us and looking at the evolution of the WSIS and the continuation of the IGF. So I will take this privilege to give you the floor, dear sir.
Thank you very much, Qusay, and thank you all for having me. I think that we are witnessing an evolution of the IGF. Since Tunis Agenda, IGF was created there, and we had IGF plus 10, where we had the possibility to have output, because at the beginning there was no output. It was not permitted to have output. Now we have output, but it is not binding to anyone. It is only if you want a book, as someone said last time. So this is an evolution, but we need more evolution. We need to have these recommendations out of the IGF be considered by the decision-making people, by people who are deciding on behalf of us. So the multi-stakeholder model is the only model that can give me the possibility to express my opinion, since I am civil society, so I don't have any decision-making right. So through the multi-stakeholder model, I can speak, I can give my opinion, and this multi-stakeholder model should be considered should be improved in my point of view. It should be improved so that it will be a real multi-stakeholder model, because the stakeholders are not equal. We need multi-equal stakeholders. Civil society people don't have the possibility to go to the meetings because they are not funded to go there. But fortunately, there are some sources of funding. It is not enough in my point of view. So they cannot express their opinion as well as the governments who are paid for it, as well as the private sector who have an interest, a financial interest. So they are paid to go there and to express their point of view. This model should be improved in my point of view, and we have to fight for it. There is no other model of governance that can give all people the right to express themselves. Now, about the evolution. As you know, GDC was plus 20, etc. The problem is that there is a lack of participation from our region. Unfortunately, I think that it is too short. 10 months is too short to have the opinion, the consensus opinion of the region about the evolution of WSIS plus 20. We didn't have, Narmeen is right. She is right, because we don't have something already prepared, and we should have prepared it much before this time. But no problem, if you want to work, we can work on it. We can do that, but we need the engagement of everyone, a real engagement. It is not about bring this kind of people or this other guy. We have to have the opinion of all people, and in my point of view, we have to have the opinion of all the national and sub-regional IGFs in our region, and also for the Arab IGF. We have to have also the opinion of all the ISOC chapters in our region. This will help to shape, if you want, the opinion, the consensus opinion about this evolution. We don't have to be absent in this occasion. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Dijal. Thank you. I think Christine, our panelist, she has a comment on the question from Nisreen. If we can pass the floor to Christine Unzu.
Thank you, Qusay. I really thank Nermeen for putting forward that very important question, and I would like to recall here a discussion that happened yesterday in the NRI coordination session, where, if I recall right, Bertrand de la Chapelle has put forward a proposal that all NRIs across the globe, in their sessions between here and between Riyadh and Norway, IGF, that they initiate a discussion about how they would like to see the mandate of the IGF renewed, and produce actual paragraph or text about the IGF. And I think that's a very innovative idea, though it's basic. It is very innovative, because if we can harness the power of grassroots in terms of looking at the future of IGF, I think there is a real impact that can be done in terms of the multilateral process that will look into the WSIS plus 20 review and the mandate of the IGF renewal. And in that respect, I think we can lead by example within the Arab region. I think what we need to see is a very thorough discussion about the renewal of the mandate of the IGF that should happen in the upcoming Arab IGF, and we should see that feeding into the ministerial sessions, whether within ESQA, within League of Arab States, others, to actually shape the intergovernmental process in that area. And to add one final comment to that, the IGF has done a lot. It has a lot of. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. We hear you.
Okay, so the IGF has had a lot of knowledge, has had a lot of dialogue, a lot of discussion, even outcomes. We have policy outcomes, policy recommendations. I think what we should be focusing on at this stage is defining the difference between digital governance and internet governance. Because this is one point that needs to be tackled. The other thing that we need to look at is linkages. How can the outcomes that come out of the IGF actually feed into actual decision making elsewhere? And we've been saying that, but we haven't been doing it so good. I think those 2 points are very important for the IGF, in addition to a solid proposal about how to empower the IGF in terms of funding and resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. Any questions from the audience? We have almost 10 minutes. Well, let me just make a comment. I had the privilege to attend the Action Day, the GDC Action Day in New York. And during the preparation session there, the Arab world was represented by the attendance of the Arab world was represented by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Republic of Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates. They presented what they are doing in terms of digital cooperation and regarding the issues related to the digital compact. Yet they represented the view from our part of the world that preserve the interest of the key players here in front of the global players. The global players is not necessarily the government and counterparts, but also the global players like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, and so on, and other regional groups. And it was substantial in reflecting our point of views and having some text in these documents that represents our interests and our priorities. So leading this back, the next 10 months, I agree it is short, but it's important to, with governments being our umbrella and representing our legitimate interest as all stakeholders, and they are the who will be on the table protecting our interests and priorities, we need to pass the view of what we want from, let's say, beyond WSIS plus 20, and what we want from the IGF as an evolution beyond 25 years, and how we want this to be set up in the Arab world after the evolution that we see on the landscape regarding internet governance, not necessarily a specific platform, but national, regional, and our attack to the our interaction with the global forum. So in that sense, really, we need to follow the timeline from here till July, which is the high-level event that will take in Geneva. I think the host will be the International Telecommunication Union, and up to the General Assembly session that will be the last decision to say to go or not, and that will take. And so far it is December 25 so far, but this is all to be confirmed. Any final comment from the audience? Well, Desiree, do you have an intervention? Yes, please.
Thank you, Desiree Evans. With the technical community and RIPE region, I really admire the Arab region in terms of how much effort has been made to include everyone and have a lot of, especially for the youth, internet governance forums that are taking place in different regions. So I just wish that this enthusiasm continues past this WSIS plus 20 review with the revived IGF, and not just 10-15 years. I think some people are calling for the unlimited life of this useful platform. But one important point, in addition to Shafiq was saying, please fill in the open consultation forum on the ITU's website by 14th of March, saying how useful this platform has been. I think we also have an opportunity in June in Norway for the next IGF to get together and think about this proposal that Christine has mentioned, how NRIs could have more connections with other UN agencies. And I think speakers on the panel, Ayman, have said to have more of this bottom-up inclusion. So if we have a new leadership panel, for example, maybe they should come from NRIs, you know, for people who have been involved in the process. So let's not miss that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Desiree. I'll give the last word to my dear colleague Shafiq to wrap up the workshop. Thank you, Shafiq.
Thank you, Qusay. Just I took some notes as final remarks, and I hope that I didn't miss any point. But please feel free to contact me or Qusay in order to put any or to add any other key message from this session. So first of all, thank you very much, dear panelists, dear audience. It really was very interesting, very interactive, and it's an opportunity. And this is the advantage of the IGF, getting all of us in the same room, tackling challenges that are common for us. So thank you once again. The key messages that I note: first, congratulations for Saudi for hosting this, and congratulations for Dr. Ibrahim, Dr. Walid for initiating the Saudi IGF. And we hope that we will have a lot of meetings to coordinate among the NRIs, Lebanon IGF, Saudi IGF, Arab IGF, North Africa IGF. Thank you. Second, there is the message for strengthening collaboration among NRIs. I said it now. Capacity building and inclusivity. Yeah, there is a demand for more capacity building, especially for the underrepresented communities that Dr. Walid mentioned, civil society that our dear guest here mentioned. Yes, we need capacity building and fellowship and funds to give them the tools to attend these meetings. The fourth point about the sustainable and evolving IGF that our colleague Nermeen was mentioned, a very interesting question. Yes, we need to have a new commitment. We need to renew our commitments for a sustainable IGF that includes all the voices. And the last point I noted here is the absence of Arab voices at the global level, at the global scene. So please, once again, Desiree, Nermeen, Christine, myself, please go ahead, fill the open consultations and make your voice heard. So these are the 5 points that I think Qusay will be the takeaway from this workshop, and hopefully that these discussions will continue. Thank you once again, and I wish you a great day and great IGF. Ayman, you have
I would like to
words?
thank you. We all thank you and Qusay for this very important session, and add one more message. The road to Amman, Arab IGF 7, is going to take place from 23 to 27 of February. So on our way to Norway, we will pass by Amman. So remember, Amman, then Geneva for the CSTD, then for Norway, and then all the way till the General Assembly, Amman, fourth week of February. And before that, tomorrow here, 11:30 in room 10 for the consultation. One step on the road for the WISC plus 20. 10 months are still valuable. So tomorrow, 11:30 in room 10, inshallah. Shukr.
Let me take this opportunity
Put
to
it in the messages, please, Shafi.
Sure. Let me first we give a warm applause to our distinguished panelists. And I would like to thank our wonderful audience who remained with us all through the workshop, and I want to thank you for your interactivity and listening to us. So thank you all, and see you around hopefully. Thank you. Bye.